All right, we're live. Sean, you said that you had some thoughts on Jerry Jones?
Yeah. As far as owners go, you would say that Jerry Jones is probably one of the most famous owners of a sports franchise that you could probably think of.
I would argue the most famous.
So when you're an owner, there's a little scrutiny that naturally comes along with it because it's your product. You own the team. So it all kind of just decides to run up to you. So I think a lot of the times owners can be put in like an unfair path of scrutiny.
Okay.
But last week, I guess Jerry Jones, Dallas Cowboys owner, was mixing it up with Jamie Foxx, actor.
Oh no, you're this. I knew that this
singer,
is where you're going with this.
Entertainer.
I wish we pulled the audio. I didn't watch the full thing. So wait, what? Can you remind our listeners what he said in this?
Yeah,
in
I'd
this
love to. Jerry Jones was talking with Jamie Foxx, and I guess he was describing a player and just rattling off some of the player's traits.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry said 5'9.5", 210, height and weight, 4'4'1", it's 40 time, I'm guessing. 9 3-inch hands, his hand length. 8.5-inch dick, which then made Jamie Foxx promptly end the Instagram live.
Where was he that he was? I don't understand why he was with Jamie Foxx, and also where were they that they were just watching players?
Like, I think Jamie Foxx just stopped by practice before this week's game.
I think people are being too weird about this. I think that people don't realize that if two dudes are sitting in the stands with their buddies, they're gonna make weird comments like this.
You're 1,000.
He's like a 15-year-old. This is the most 15-year-old comment that could have possibly been made.
You couldn't be more right, Joseph. Mm-hmm. But there's something more insidious that happens when it comes from the owner of the team, where you wonder, could he possibly have a Google Sheets file? With the measurables of every person on the team.
See, okay, now you're getting really conspiracy theorist.
I'm just saying this is where the mind starts to wander.
No, I think that he is an old, senile, borderline progressively becoming senile man that has the same sense of humor as a 15-year-old.
We both have grandfathers, correct?
Yeah, I don't think
I've never heard my granddad talk about the dong size of any of his grandkids.
Yeah, but he's not
any of his kids.
That would be weird. That's
you
not
would
what we're
equate
talking
that to
about
an
here.
Owner talking about the players that are staffed on his
coworkers,
team.
like their coworkers. That
I don't know if they're technically coworkers.
Your grandfather's not your friend. He's just your grandfather.
Is Jerry your friend?
He's talking to Jamie Foxx because I guess they're friends. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sitting next to one another. This is insane. I don't know. I think you're looking into this too much.
I don't think you're looking into this far enough. I think we need to start expending some resources to try to get a hold of the Google Sheets file.
Well, it's probably just under Jerry Jones at DallasCowboys.com. But I would argue that if you're trying to make it seem as though that measurable instead of hand size or arm length is the most important, the way that they're playing defense right now does not suggest that they are filling
You think it must be an offensive player that he's therefore describing?
No. I'm just saying you're implying that he has a spreadsheet in order to indicate that he's only going after guys that have over a certain size.
How else would he know that? Yeah.
So my point is that I don't think that's true because right now the defense is not playing up to that characterization, which we're gonna get to today.
Well, I just have to say,
starting the show, by the way,
I think this is the most relatable Jerry Jones has ever been. Mm-hmm. It's the most I've ever liked him, and the most concerned I've ever felt for the privacy of players in the National Football League at this current moment. So even though it's the most of like a bro that he's ever sounded, because that's you nailed it on the head. It sounds like two dudes chopping it up in the stands. That's not what Jerry Jones, owner and GM, should be saying to anybody.
No.
Let alone a celebrity who also happens to be on Instagram Live in front of thousands. It's a bad look for Jerry, even though I think it makes me more in on Jerry than I've ever been.
There's a never mind, I'm not going to bring this up. I'm just going to send this to you. The Coach Prime tweet that was deleted. That's not great. All right, we're going to hit the break today.
That was an unfortunate.
Did you see it?
That was an unfortunate tweet.
Woo! All right, we're going to get to NFL Week 3, talking some craziness. The Minnesota Vikings, they're 3-0. Yes, I got tagged in it. No, I will not be elaborating on my incorrectness. We got to talk about Sam Darnold, though. We're going to get to Andy Dalton, the Bears, woes, all that coming up. Before we do, we're going to hit the break, and we're going to hear from Bet Online.
And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better,
better to yourself.
You showed up for like probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. Today, we've got NFL Week 3. We're focused on performances from undefeated teams, that being the Pittsburgh Steelers, that being the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to talk about their quarterbacks. And who would have thought Andy Dalton, the guy who has played 163 career games, was going to be good enough to play better than Bryce Young? I'm completely stunned. Before we get to recapping everything that happened that stood out to us from Week 3, Sean, can you share with our listeners where they can send donations to Bet Online?
Yeah, Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. I'm so trill right now. I mean, I got Bengals are going to win this game. Bills are going to win this trill. They're both. I parlayed them.
Define it.
And I'm going to have
trill.
just being trill. Oh, you're so out of it. I can't even get you in on it. All right, you're not trill. I'm a trill better. I am going to win my bet tonight. I'm thankful because the Commanders can't cover anybody. And the Jaguars are frauds.
Quavering or vibratory sound, especially a rapid alternation.
That's the noun version, not the adjective.
There's a verb.
Think you know your stuff. Get in our $200,000 mega contest to pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200K. When the game's over, head on to their online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, which are also trill as hell, I might say. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet Online. The game starts here.
Genuine and authentic, especially as a result of being rooted in urban subcultures. What this says. I like that I now realize that I have access to Sean's headphones, so now I can play whatever I feel like into his ears. I don't know if you use trill.
Oh, I used it right
correctly. I don't know.
Trill better, man.
No, I still don't think that works. All right, let's talk about the trill. Sam Darnold. No,
yeah, that works.
Sam Darnold, though, has had a tremendous start to this season. The Minnesota Vikings are 3-0. They got a big win over the Houston Texans. Was way more lopsided than anybody anticipated. If you're like me and you're a dunce and you bet on the Texans, you lost money, and Sam Darnold is laughing in your face. This defense, though, is only allowed 10 points per game. And it's not like it's all just the defense, though. We saw Sam Darnold make some great throws, man. He looks so poised. He looks so calm. And he is just delivering the ball in an effective manner that the Vikings are able to keep their offense ahead of schedule and moving downhill, moving the sticks every single drive. He's getting better on a week-to-week basis. One of the craziest stats that I saw that you almost don't even realize. How old do you think Sam Darnold is?
When was he drafted? Like
just guess.
7 years ago?
Just guess without trying to do the math. How old do you think Sam Darnold is?
It's probably like 29.
He's 27. He's younger than Joe Burrow, who's playing right now.
Oh, how is he 27? When was it? What age was he? Like a 20-year-old drafted?
I believe he was. He was 21 years old. He hasn't been in the league for really that long.
20 years old getting drafted by the Jets. Why did anyone think that was a good move?
Forget about, we can sit here and hype up Brian Flores. I think that's a given. I mean, he's a great defensive coordinator. They're turning guys over. The amount of sack production that they're getting is ridiculous. CJ Stroud looked pedestrian yesterday. But we got to have a conversation here about Sam Darnold. 3 games might be a little bit too soon to really know if there's any long-term shelf life for success with him. But we have to give credit where it's due. He doesn't look anything like what he did in his first seasons in the league. He looks completely transformed.
No, it's ripped out the plastic, feeling brand new for him. And it's not like they just only beat the 49ers, which you could just chalk up as fluky if you felt like doing so. I did, because the 49ers are a great team. And then you go and beat the Houston Texans, who are on a warpath this season, who have an insane offense and an insane defense, and the Minnesota Vikings, who got plucked apart, who had to draft a new quarterback this year, who is not going to be playing, and have Sam Darnold, who's spent a cup of coffee with Shanahan and company, I guess, relearning how to play offense, is looking like a Pro Bowl quarterback. Not even hyperbolic, a Pro Bowl quarterback with his confidence in the pocket. I guess it takes a couple years to get rid of the ghosts. It doesn't look like he has them. I mean, this is a mature quarterback that looks like he's seen a lot of stuff in the NFL, that is now in command of an offense that has luckily equipped with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. I'm still shocked that the Texans fell to them in that fashion, also in that manner, getting boat raced by the Vikings.
It's also, and I said this when we were leading into the segment, it's also not like Sam Darnold's just, hey, quick slant to a wide open receiver, or Justin Jefferson's making acrobatic catches because he's misfiring on them. There are some throws that he's making that require a lot of confidence, a lot of decisiveness, and aggressiveness, and a willingness to say, like, hey, I see a small gap here, I'm just going to attack it. He does have, I think, a better weapon room. He's been without Jordan Addison, but he's got Aaron Jones, he's got Justin Jefferson. He's been able to rely on those guys for production. I don't think that we're going to sit here and have the debate of, do you try to move JJ McCarthy? That would be extremely ridiculously reactionary. All right, come on. That's a little insane to jump to the, hey, let's move on from JJ McCarthy.
His value's still high. You haven't seen JJ McCarthy go in the game and piss down his leg yet. Send him right to Miami. Okay, easy start.
Here, let me rephrase this for a second. Say we get to the end of the season. JJ McCarthy's probably not going to play. Say that this Vikings team goes on to the playoffs. They're a wild card team. Don't even need to win a playoff game.
Yeah.
But Sam Darnold continues to play, let's say, a hair below the way that he's playing right now. He takes a slight step back as everybody kind of figures out how to play against him and scheme against him. This isn't Josh Dobbs, by the way. I think that he has that capability. The decision does need to be made in the offseason. What do you do there? I think you take advantage of the fact that I don't know what his contract is. You try to move him and see what kind of leverage that you have in a trade. Perfect example. I mean, the New York Giants, with the defense that they have right now, would be chomping at the bit to get Sam Darnold in the building. If Tua's long-term future with the Dolphins is unsure, bringing him in would be huge for their long-term success. I don't know if the Carolina Panthers are necessarily in a position to bring in Sam Darnold.
Well, their future is being made with Andy Dalton. Don't worry. That's their quarterback for the next 5 years.
Did you pull up his contract?
Yeah, Darnold, 1 year, $10 million.
Oh, man.
They're going to re-sign this guy. And he should start for them next year.
But why would he willingly re-sign?
Because I think they're going to pay him some money.
Why did I think he signed a 2-year deal?
I think the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold, if they have a good year,
they're not bringing him back.
Why wouldn't they?
They're going to offer to bring him back. Why, if I'm Sam Darnold, am I coming back?
Because it's the only place I've found true success. I think that we can see a little bit of the symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, but you're gonna get quite literally cucked by JJ McCarthy.
Why? The Minnesota Vikings should already move.
Top 10.
Yeah, they should move on already. It's not. I'm not even kidding.
This is
they should. You want to deal with Sam Darnold from 6 years ago again, all over again with JJ McCarthy? I'll pass. I now have a learned Sam Darnold. I have a guy that's played in the NFL a good amount. I have a guy that is actually throwing the ball downfield and looks like a better Kirk Cousins who he let walk. It makes sense for the Vikings to be able to just stumble their way into another beautiful quarterback situation, a la Case Keenum, a la Kirk Cousins, everyone before that. I've seen Brett Favre play with his hair on fire at age 45. I think keeping Darnold is the smart play. Get rid of the McCarthy. It's it's over. I'm chalking it. It's done for.
I'm sorry.
Let him be the future
That's
for
ridiculous.
another team.
No, that's
why. What's his upside? He's going to do better.
I get what you're saying. It's not a matter of upside, but you don't invest capital and then immediately bail after the guy that you have.
A smart team would.
Sure, this is something that could, if we revisit it in 5 years, we could be saying, why the hell wouldn't they have kept Sam Darnold? Because Sam Darnold did X, Y, or Z. We are only saying this after 3 games. So
yes, that is the crazy part of what I think my stance is.
No, it's still crazy if that Sam Darnold has a really good year. I don't. If I am Sam Darnold, I am not coming back to the Minnesota Vikings this offseason. I'm not. There is zero value if I am Sam Darnold to return to Minnesota in a situation where, even if he has all of this built up confidence from Kevin O'Connell and the coaching staff, he quite literally will have a short leash. Even if they say, hey, we'll bring you back, you'll be starting JJ McCarthy, any chance that Sam Darnold slips up, he is going to step in. And by the way, can we use cucking as a new word to beat people out for the starting job?
You know what? If you want to bring it down to that level, that's fine with me. I'm not going to oppose you.
I think that should be the new word.
Unfortunately, this wasn't necessarily a cucking. McCarthy got hurt, and Sam Darnold.
No, but I'm saying that if
Darnold
comes and re-signs with the Vikings, which isn't going to happen, there is a high likelihood that he gets cucked by JJ McCarthy.
I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense to me for that to take place. It just doesn't. I know
he
you
was
drafted
a
him high.
first-round pick, a high first-round pick.
I know that he was. And I
you also theoretically you're going to have to compete on the. This is a terrible take by you. You're going to have to compete.
I'm sure it is.
You're going to have to compete on the open market with everybody that is offering Sam Darnold big contracts. He's probably going to get something comparable to what Baker Mayfield got from the Buccaneers.
Why wouldn't the Minnesota Vikings start trying to see what they can get for McCarthy now? Why not? Get him off the radar now. Get the headache out of the way. You could still get value for him. He was a first-round pick. You could probably get a second or a third from a quarterback-hungry team that's going to have a high draft pick. They don't have to waste it on a quarterback this year, and then they can get another position player. Easy little swapperoo.
I don't.
It's going to be treat it like Rosen. That works. Yeah, we drafted Rosen, but he kind of stinks, and I'm going to move on real quick.
But that's so different. You're doing that to then draft a different, better quarterback because you knew that.
You've already drafted your better quarterback in Sam Darnold. I'm over McCarthy, and I haven't even seen him play yet.
I don't disagree that this is going to be a toxic conversation this offseason, and I'm more than happy to revisit it. But I do look ahead now. Another team, Raiders. I think that the teams that come to mind that are going to be really aggressive in trying to pursue him. The Raiders are probably going to do it.
Yeah.
The Giants are probably going to go after him.
As they should.
Which he shouldn't want to go back to the New York market the way that they just shoot him up and spit him out. Dolphins situation to be determined. Yeah. They're going to have to decide what to do there. Who else do you think I'm missing here that should be considering him as of right now?
I'm always going to throw out Cleveland.
Titans also need
Titans need a quarterback badly. Yep. Will Levis is incomprehensibly foolish on the field. No, the Colts are still riding it out. I'm not jumping the ship there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you brought up Geno when we were talking about Bryce Young. But yeah, right now those are the premier teams that you're already looking at. I think there are two quarterbacks in Minnesota that people should be taking phone calls.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I watched JJ McCarthy play football. His upside is literally what Darnold is doing right now.
You make a good point that there is.
It's McCarthy.
He's going to probably play similar to what Sam Darnold did when he was in his first 3 years with the Jets before he got moved on from. Like there's probably like a really strong chance. Here's another toxic thing before we move on to talk about the Cowboys. I would argue that this is a sign that Zach Wilson could be saved.
What are you talking about, brother?
What do you mean?
So you're saying that
no, seriously, if you have good traits and there's tools to work with, just because you have a rough 3 years to start your career does not mean you cannot be fixed.
I think if you find the right system as any quarterback, you can have a good year in the NFL because you didn't make it there by accident. You have a trait, you have a brain, you have whatever it is that got you to dupe these scouts in the first place. So if you could find a system that highlights your strong suits and can mask your bad traits, then I think many quarterbacks can find good success. Zach Wilson, I am on the I'll believe it when I see it category until further notice. There's no redemption. I rooted for him as a rookie. I rooted for him less as a second-year guy, and I rooted for him even more when he was inexplicably needed to be thrown back into the Wolves after Rodgers goes down with the Achilles. So I've deposited all my vested interest, and I'll wait until that starts accumulating more after he's riding pine behind Bo Nix.
I'd rather be toxic. Toxic. We know words. Dallas Cowboys are off to a brutal start, 1-2 on the season. They fell to the Baltimore Ravens 28-25. The past two games, they have allowed 888 total yards and 72 points in 2 home losses. What's crazy about this is that final score, anyone who watched this game knows it was not indicative of the actual performance. Ravens were up 28-6 at one point, and they let them climb back into it. It was all garbage time points, so this game looks closer than it actually was. Give them a little credit for scrapping their way back, but perfect example of a game where the Ravens had it in control. I think this game is epitomized by a screen grab of the All-22 that somebody shared, and it was, this is how the Cowboys, it was depicted and described as, this is how the Cowboys lined up to defend 22 personnel with a 250-pound running back, meaning Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
They had 4 men on the line of scrimmage, and there were multiple 2-man wide gaps. There was just so much space and multiple linebackers in the box. And we all know how that result worked out for the entirety of this game. They ran all over them. We have griped about Mozzie Smith.
He's bad.
They're in a really brutal spot. I don't know who to point to. I don't know if it's pointing to the interior guys not being physical enough up the middle, because it feels like that's where they're kind of getting kicked in the ass the most. Or do we blame Mike Zimmer? Because this has been a pitiful start to the year.
Yeah, the Ravens are a team that can run the ball well, which is unfortunate for Dallas because their main issue on getting beat is being weak in the interior too. They've tried to fix it through the draft, hasn't worked. And I thought the Dallas was always going to have a big, strong linebacker that could fit the A gaps, but they keep getting hurt. Sean Lee got hurt. Leighton Vander Esch continues to get hurt. Jalen Smith went there for a stint, hurt. They keep on bringing in really dynamic, good linebackers. Like Demarion Overshawn is a really good linebacker, but he's sideline to sideline with blazing fast speed. He's not a gap fitter. He's a Dan Quinn product, a rangy linebacker that can cover tight ends. They need somebody in the middle of the defense that can really head it up, that can shore up the run game, make sure everyone's in the right positions, because it's not looking like they are right now. And Baltimore kind of showed at what both of these teams are made of in this game. Baltimore on their best day is an A team, right? They can run the rock. Lamar Jackson is dynamic, and they have plenty of playmakers on defense. Dallas on their best day is a B-plus team. That's the fact of it. They can stay in a game with an A team that's playing at an A- level. They can stay in a game with an A- team that's playing at a B-plus level. But they're not going to win these big games, even when Baltimore is pulling a Baltimore and just letting teams crawl back in it, a la Baltimore playoff scenario 1AB. It doesn't work for them. Them crawling back was unfortunate because I wanted to see Baltimore evolve and just put them away for good, grind them in the dirt, make them mud, but they didn't do that. They left the door open, and Dallas is good enough where if there's a door open and enough time, they're going to crawl back and make you pay. But it was all Baltimore. It was always Baltimore in this game. I'm glad I got that pick right. One of the few from this week in our bettings.
One of the other griping points for Dallas Cowboys fans, and then just people in general that you hear on every talk show, is the inability to bring any juice to this run game. They brought back Ezekiel Elliott, who is way past his prime. He's got that goofy spaceman looking helmet that he's wearing.
It's awful.
Yeah, just a bad. Those are not great helmets, and the visor that he wears with it's just kind of a lot going on. It was troubling, and I say this as a Rico Dowdle.
Truther?
No, not truther. An individual who has Rico Dowdle as their number one running back in fantasy.
You do not.
Oh, my running backs are awful. I am 0-3. I am 0-3.
A smart young boy like you, and you have Rico Dowdle.
Because I drafted DeAndre Smith. Swift, and I have Josh Jacobs. Actually, Josh Jacobs is my number one. But to move past that, ignore that for a second. They didn't draft anybody with early capital when they clearly needed to draft somebody. Jonathan Brooks, who's hurt, at the very least should have been on their radar, was somebody who was mocked to them a ton. Trey Benson would have been huge for this team, who's the second running back right now for the Cardinals. Like, that would have been a big ad for you. There were many opportunities throughout the draft. Braylon Allen, I think of Isaiah Davis, two guys that are buried on the Jets. And Braylon Allen had a great game against the Patriots. There are so many different guys that they could have drafted, even if they didn't spend the money in free agency to boost this running back room. Jerry Jones is continuing to make disturbing, weird decisions. I know that it's easy to say, turn over the decision-making, Jerry. That's never going to happen. But what's causing this program and this team to struggle is that they have no run game and they have no ability to stop the run. Those are the two most detrimental things in the year 2024 to not have. Y'all want to talk about passing the football? You dorks with the spreadsheets. Some goofball
Let it fly.
was tweeting about this today. Meanwhile, Dak Prescott has 51 passing attempts and 379 yards, and you lost the football game. Y'all want to scream and yell about why throwing the football is so important. Look what happens when you don't have a balanced offensive attack and when you can't run the damn football.
Well, additionally to that, they had an opportunity to sign some free agents in the summer, and Derrick Henry didn't even get a call from him. And he had 155 yards and I think 2 touchdowns on Sunday. I'm sure you didn't want to come out of pocket for that. You couldn't afford him, Jerry. Well, all the number crunching dorks, as Joe would call them, all those losers that bite on their pencils, they noted that you had $25 million of cap space. That could have signed Derrick Henry. But no, you watched him gut your team. You couldn't run the ball. And the imbalanced offense, there's only one way that it works, Joe. It's what Baltimore did on Sunday. They ran the ball 45 times, threw it 15 times, and won the game. You know why? Because if you have a strong enough running attack, that's all you'll ever need to do to win games. And then passing becomes a luxury. That's the goal of an NFL team, is to pass for luxury. Oh, I'm so good. Now I'll just pass for fun. This is nice. I have all these great weapons around me. Zay Flowers, you get one. Rashad Bateman, you get one. Likely and Andrews, you can go screw. I'm done with the tight end bit here in Baltimore. But you have the ability to keep it dynamic. And if you really need to, beat a team with your legs. Dallas won't do that all year.
By the way, I know you knew that Dallas was cooked when Charlie Kohler, who's one of the stiffest players in the NFL, you know the play that I'm talking about where he caught that pass and it looked like he was running with a pipe strapped to his back. No wiggle, nothing. That big gain that you gave up to Charlie Kohler shows that you have defensive problems. That guy gashed you. He is a third tight end. Nothing more. He's not dynamic. There's no dynamic nature to his performance. What I was referencing. So, Aaron Schatz tweeted this morning that it's not him I was talking about. It's so weird to hear Tom Brady, who led one of the most pass-oriented offenses in NFL history, repeat cliches about establishing and stopping the run. It's because he knows ball. The other quote tweet response to this, PFF goofball Kevin Cole tweeted, "It's crazy the degree to which run worship is ingrained into every player coach despite even evidence from their own personal experiences. It's almost religious." Yeah, it's because the people who actually play the game and not the goofballs with the numbers and trying to put together a spreadsheet.
Who said that?
Kevin Cole. It's this is the shit that we get from the PFF goobers when
Who
they
would
tweet this
ever
stuff.
think that they had the balls to say that?
I wonder why Tom Brady, who spent so many years in the NFL and his career was built off of having good rushing games, good run games, and great defenses that stopped the run, why he would lean on that. Gee, I wonder why. The game has been around for 100 fucking years, you dumbass. Well, there's all this evidence that when we do the math that shows that it's actually a little bit more efficient when you throw the ball more, and the importance of throwing the ball. BS. The best teams in the game right now run the ball better than everybody else.
That's a tragic take. I'm going to pitch out a scenario for you. Let Dallas start Hunter Lipke at running back for the rest of the season.
Honestly,
Big,
yeah.
He fullback. He got a ball in space and made the most of
I'm
it.
tired of listening to the broadcast, and they're like, oh, they've been working Hunter. They're saying they're going to work Hunter Lipke in more, and then he doesn't get worked in. Give him the ball.
Yeah.
You want like 3 yards every single play? Give him the ball. We watched him kill people when he was at North Dakota State. Literally kill people. Look up his highlights.
At the very worst, Hunter Lipke does for you is he runs like Carson Steele did against Atlanta for the Chiefs. Like that's the very worst he's going to do is what Carson Steele is doing. Keep making it work with Fat Zeke, okay? That I'm sure that the Cowboys are a serious organization this season.
I appreciated seeing Carson Steele's alligator. I love it when he gets brought up on the broadcast.
That's a bit I don't mind.
It's also very funny to me that you can tell that this just disturbing creature has no ability to develop a relationship with its owner because its mouth is taped shut. Gee, I wonder why the alligator's mouth is taped shut. I was literally working out when that came on the TV, and I was like, they really don't trust that alligator. That alligator does not give a shit about its owner because clearly they do not trust him to not bite them.
It's not necessarily a golden retriever that you have in the house that's good with kids. Even no matter how much of a good boy that Crocky J is, I really wouldn't want to be walking into the crib and have him flaring his mouth open at me. That would be a little unsettling.
Hold on. This Bills game's 34-3.
The Jaguars are horrendous, man. They are a fraud team. Peterson should be shown the door. The NFL has caught up to him and surpassed him. It's a joke. And I've been anti Trevor Lawrence this season. They shouldn't have paid him the money. I know it's crazy because how do you
I
not
disagree.
pay Trevor
I disagree
Lawrence?
with that. This team has
34-3.
more
Joe.
issues than Trevor Lawrence. He's the only thing they have going for them.
He's not going for them. He's not going this year.
All right, let's get back on track on the Chiefs. A lot of Collinsworth glazing, which I knew that you were extremely upset about. This game ends. The Chiefs end up winning off of Nick Bolton stuffing Bijan Robinson on a 4th down to close things out. 22-17 is the final score on Sunday Night Football. Again, you are all in on the anti-glazing. You're not the only person that I know that hates the Collinsworth Mahomes glazing that everybody gives.
Sure.
But at the same time, man, you got to give credit for the way that he's able to run around and kill the clock and take a knee and, avoid sacks. I think it's at an elite level, and I think you need to stop being so negative and appreciate the fact that we've got this guy.
Have you seen I do appreciate Mahomes. Have you seen my Twitter thread yet?
I saw you posted the thread. I did not click into the thread.
It's I got some clips pulled from last night. It's rough. It's been a rough listen for Collinsworth this year. And I think a lot of when he was highlighting players that weren't Kelsey or Mahomes, he did a good job. He praised Nick Bolton, who is probably the most underrated linebacker in the NFL. What a stud that guy is. Taking advantage of a bozo play call, regardless. He was in the backfield all night, making huge tackles all night. He deserves the praise. There are other players that deserve to have a little bit of tone shift when you're talking about him, Collinsworth. Not just, oh, that's a good play. All right, let's just jump back over. Hopefully we get to see Kelsey again. We have a simulcast on Taylor Swift, who's in her apartment, probably taking a huge log while the game's going on. Can we get that visual truck? No, you can't do it because they're in Atlanta, and the A doesn't put up with that shit. We're not... I
want a camera, by the way, in the bathroom of that one fan who was taking a dump.
We need to not have cameras in bathrooms. That's when society truly crumbles. Regardless, the Falcons are a little bit better than I thought they were going to be. The Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs. I'm not crying about that missed DPI. I won't do it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of I'm kind of past that part of my fandom. I'm more just like, where's the narrative coming from? I get the Falcons stink, but it was a Chiefs home game broadcast, and I think Collinsworth is a big contributor to the dumbification of football watchers.
Well, okay, the dumbification is naturally just become worse because of the desire now for Taylor Swift fans to watch the Chiefs, blah, blah, blah. And we could go on the whole diatribe of like, I don't want these people watching football. They don't care about the game, whatever.
Sure.
I disagree with you saying that the Falcons stink. I don't think that there's any reason right now, and I'm not trying to poke and prod here and incite you. I think that there are a lot of positives to take away from the steps that they've taken from week 1 up until now. That's the best team in the NFL that you went toe-to-toe with.
Yeah.
The big separation point that you have not had. And you had all of these weapons the last 2 years. All of them.
Aware.
Especially last year.
Yeah.
I can't remember in any of the games last season where they were able to take these shots that they're taking and connect on them. You're able to find your playmakers in space and create. Is it all the way there? No, it's like 70% there. But does Kyle Pitts look better and better every single week? Is Drake London turning into the box out contested catch champion that we knew that he was going to be? Is Ray McLeod emerging as this unexpected impact gadget player? Is Bijan Robinson running hard and creating for himself? All of those things are coming to fruition. It's not all going to immediately happen in the first 3 weeks. 1 and 2 after the first 3 weeks with the schedule that you had, especially losing to a 3-0 Steelers team, they deserve some commending and recognition.
Look, do you know how PTSD works, Joe? I was in the shit for 2 years. I watched Taylor Heineke. He had me down in the bunker, praying to God. I watched Marcus Mariota. Please get me back home. Send me back home. I'm tired of sitting in this wasteland, watching my friends perish. I had Desmond Ridder. Oh my God, they're bombing our camp. So now that I have Kirk Cousins and I'm back
What
on
was
the
that?
mainland, the Desmond Ritter, the worst. They airstruck the Falcons boot camp, basically. Now I'm back on the home soil. And I'm back where I kind of am getting reacquainted to becoming a football fan and real person again. But every now and then, flashes happen. And my brain starts getting rewired. And I'm jumbling. I'm disoriented. And I don't know. And turn off the fireworks, please. And now I'm starting to heal. But winning cures all.
You're a spoiled piece of shit. You know that?
How?
You grew up your whole life. You got to watch. I don't know. Were you aware enough to have seen Michael Vick?
Yes, he's the
Okay.
reason I'm a Falcons fan.
So
yes.
you got to watch Michael Vick. You got to watch all of those years of Julio and Roddy White and Matt Ryan, and you had a couple of years, just a few years of adversity, and you're complaining?
Yes.
Shut your mouth.
Oh,
Shut your mouth.
I can't complain.
Shut your mouth.
28-3, I can't complain. Choking in the NFC Championship,
Grow up,
17 up
grow
to San
up.
Francisco, I can't
that
complain.
Happened. That happened. So
Keanu
long
O'Neal
ago.
bouncing the ball off of his knee, letting Nelson Aguilar catch it for 40 yards, losing that playoff game. I can't complain. No, the
No,
Falcons
you can't complain.
I have been digging this ditch
You're
for the
acting
Falcons for
like
years.
you have been deprived of good football your entire life.
Oh no.
There are fan bases in your entire lifetime that have been far
I'm not
worse
comparing
off.
my situation to Cleveland's.
Or
I'm not
to the
comparing
Jets.
it to the Jets. They've been awful. But I've seen good offenses. Now I've seen good offenses my whole life from Atlanta. It's been glorious.
Spoiled piece of shit.
Now I finally have a defense. I have Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons, who I would welcome into my home and give them all of my possessions if I saw them. And I just want a team that can
Not
reward
healthy.
their bravery.
Not healthy. I think that you're being too pessimistic. I think that there is only one direction to go up for them instead of the Saints getting too hyped up, the Buccaneers getting too hyped up, and especially the Buccaneers, whose defense completely did not show up against the Broncos. That was just a terrible performance.
Yeah.
Speaking of inept offenses, the Chicago Bears have been the butt of many jokes over the past day. Shane Waldron, there seems to be some sort of a hit out on him. I saw somebody had tweeted that Shane Waldron, there's pictures of him at 75 Diddy parties, that he might be tied to all that, which I thought was pretty funny. That's a new one. That's a creative one. But the performance that they had against the Colts, it was a close, sloppy, ugly game. Caleb Williams this season has been sacked 14 times. They have 2 passing touchdowns on 34 drives. This has been one of the most ugly, frustrating teams to watch, especially when you see and know some of the athletes that they have. They have DeAndre Swift. Forget about for a second my gripes of him not getting utilized properly for fantasy purposes. But when Khalil Herbert's coming in goal line to go situations, kind of questions Waldron's ability to make decisions on personnel and the right guys to bring in certain situations.
Quite possibly, yes.
You have dynamic receivers like DJ Moore and young Roma Dunze, and Keenan Allen's been a little banged up, but you've got all these options and you can't produce. Williams did throw for over 300 yards this game, but not playing well enough for them to finish games and get wins against a bad Colts team. I don't know if this is something that's immediately corrected, but I do think that a decision needs to be made by Eberflus. I don't know what that is. He can't call the plays. He's a defensive guy. But this is a messy situation in a year where the Bears could have been a playoff conversation team.
He could have asked, Eberflus could ask that Caleb Williams doesn't throw the ball 52 times in a game. It seems like, from my perspective, the game plan is we'll run the ball once a drive, and that'll be good. We get to check that off our checklist. Boom, we're committing to the run, and then we're going to let Caleb Williams freestyle for the next 5 plays. Whether he gets a first down or gets a 3 and out, don't worry, we'll be back and we'll commit to the run, and then let Caleb Williams try to make something out of thin air as a rookie. Where's the structure? Where's the plan? It's already the game plan in Chicago. They've done this so backwards. It's already, Caleb, roll out and improvise and make something happen all on your own. Not, hey, Caleb, we're going to scheme some stuff up. Here's your first read, your second read, check down if that doesn't work. Don't do anything else. That's how it should start. And then eventually, once he can do all that stuff really well, then, all right, Caleb, you have a feel for the game now. You know how our offense runs. You've developed chemistry. Now, if you feel like you don't want to check it down, you're talented enough and your arm is strong enough and you're hopefully accurate enough where you can start improvising a little bit. You can start scrambling and rolling out. But so far through 3 weeks, that hasn't worked. It won't work until he actually starts being treated like a rookie in some sense and having to physically learn a demanding NFL offense.
When you watch a game, sometimes you don't like completely wrap your head around how many passing attempts a guy has. But then when you like pull up box scores, and I know people gripe about pulling up stats, and I'm one of these people. I think that this context, as simple as it is, kind of paints the issues that they're having. And you just brought up a really good explanation. It's reminiscent of what was wrong with USC last year, where it was, hey, Caleb, I'm Lincoln Riley, and I don't feel like calling a play. This isn't actually what happened, but I don't feel like calling a play. You go dance around a little bit and something might happen. That was kind of what it was. It felt like Lincoln Riley was not holding Caleb Williams accountable enough to say, you need to play within the structure of the offense. You need to make decisions. The hero ball stuff was great last year, but teams have figured out how to scheme against it. The NFL definitely knows how to scheme against it. This is his passing totals for a rookie when you've got two good running backs, a bad offensive line, but two good running backs that you can turn to and try to churn things out on the ground. And more importantly, use Caleb Williams in a read option situation, man. Like, try to get him involved in the run game in an actual rushing play instead of letting him loop and dupe around like a dumbass. He hasn't done that as badly. I'm not trying to be... I am a big Caleb Williams fan. I'm a supporter of Caleb Williams. I think he's going to continue to get better. But 29 passing attempts against the Titans, which is a normal amount, increases to 37 and then to 52. No rookie quarterback should be throwing the ball 52 times. Something has to give. I know that you're stuck in the situation with a mediocre O-line where I believe, if I'm correct, they don't have a single first-round pick.
Darnell Wright is their right tackle.
They have one first-round pick playing in their offensive line right now.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a great offensive line, but here's why
it's a bad offensive line.
Braxton Jones is fine. Tevin Jenkins is fine.
Sheldon Coleman's terrible.
I'm not saying
Nate Davis has been terrible.
Darnell Wright is supposedly supposed to be very good, but here's why they're getting beat. Because they keep on sending the house at Caleb Williams because they know his first look isn't, let's try to find the guy that's that should be covering an open receiver now. It's, I'm going to scramble around, take an awful 12-yard loss sack, and then we still win the rep as the defense. The defense is not playing structurally sound defense. They're playing more free because they know Caleb Williams hasn't had enough time to adjust and understand the coverages. If you're in man, if you're in zone, if these two linebackers come up the A gap, picking on our bad offensive linemen, the two of them, then there's no harm, no foul, because he's just going to try to scramble and play hero ball. If the Bears really wanted to commit to it, they would leave a running back in the backfield to pick up one of those dudes and let Caleb Williams identify where the mismatch is. They're not doing that. It's Caleb, sprint out to space, and then maybe you can have your super IQ, quick thinking mind find somebody downfield. It's completely bass backwards, and the offensive line is taking so much shit. And right for some of it, the left tackle is getting beat on a bad rush every now and again. But if you watch these games, you'll see that I'm right about this, and they are taking advantage of an inexperienced rookie quarterback. Not only because he's a rookie. That's what you do. That's how Bill Belichick had such a great record against rookie quarterbacks. Not because he was disguising so well. It's because he was bringing the effing heat.
Did you see that clip of, it was from the Super Bowl, Jackson Smith and Jigba and a couple other guys, I forget who else, they were repping Bounty and they were sitting at the CHGO table and they were getting interviewed. And one of the media guys at CHGO asked Jackson Smith and Jigba what Bears fans could expect and get to know with Shane Waldron, who was the Seahawks offensive coordinator last year. Have you seen this clip?
I have not seen this clip.
He basically, I wish I had it pulled up. I'm an idiot for not doing this. He basically hesitates and goes, "Is this live?" He just completely goes, like clearly did not want to give an answer. And his answer was, he's a really nice guy.
Oh,
that was all that he could give. So that's the world that the Bears are now living in. I mean, I would argue maybe that makes sense for what we're talking about here. You could kind of tell at times there's not as much of an accountability of coaching up Caleb Williams to the degree that he needs. Sometimes nice guys get walked all over.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, I know you've seen this, when you're young quarterback, the best thing someone could say about him is his leadership qualities. It's not the big arm, it's not the command of the offense,
Or
or
what
how
Jerry
accurate
Jones
it
is measuring.
Yeah, exactly. It's oh, he's such a good leader. That's all I heard about Desmond Ritter for 2 years was, man, when he comes in the huddle,
Shoot me in the head,
when he-
man.
when
if
he
you,
comes
if you're
in the huddle,
mid-round pick,
you
that's
can
still
hear
here.
him from the sidelines, and oh, his leadership is great. I'm sure it is. I'm sure he's a good leader. Quarterbacks tend to be good leaders. They're kind of trained in leadership qualities. I want them to be more trained in delivering the football accurately.
Steelers are 3-0. I think that's probably one of the not craziest because they have
Frustrating.
They have the bones of a really good team, and this is exactly what we know they are. They're going to jump out to a really good start, and if they finish 9-8, I don't think any of us will be surprised. I tangibly can see a good football team. They've had a little bit of a lighter schedule that they've benefited from, but to their credit, their defense has completely smothered and killed every offense that they've gone against. Like they have really, really taken out everyone that they've matched up with to the point where they just could not move the ball. Justin Fields, I think we got to give another quarterback here who's getting a second chance, his flowers where they're due. He had only 7 incompletions in this game. He had only 245 passing yards, a touchdown, and 1 interception. I know that those numbers are not like crazy numbers that are on for an MVP pace.
Yeah.
I know that that's not what we're trying to say here, that like this is a premier guy in the NFL. But for a young offense with a bunch of young offensive linemen and really only one good receiver, you lost Deontay Johnson, and you've got George Pickens and Calvin Austin had a really big play in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I am very impressed by the way that Justin Fields is getting better every single week. And I think Arthur Smith is figuring out how to set him up to succeed. I stand by this. I don't think you start Russ. I think that you're 3-0. I think that you have had so much success with this kid. I think by the end of the season, he is going to be so confident. This is another example of when your confidence is shaken because you're in a bad situation that's not supporting you and you keep making mistakes. Sometimes you just need to go somewhere else that's going to hype you up. It's in line with what we talked about with Bryce Young, and we're starting to see here with Justin Fields that there is a path for him to save his career and end up being a quality starter for the Steelers.
When the Steelers are 1-0, my theory was, okay, if the Steelers drop 2 in a row, then you put Russell Wilson in. Now it's if the Steelers drop 3 in a row, you start considering putting Russell Wilson in. You don't just jump to it. Justin Fields it shows garbage organization, great organization. Chicago Bears, Pittsburgh Steelers. Everything we just said about what Caleb Williams needs, Justin Fields is getting in Pittsburgh. Arthur Smith is a stubborn bastard, and I have some mixed emotions about him, but he's stubborn in a good way at times where you're in his plan. You are in his system. He is going to scheme it up for you, and he loves a quarterback that can move in play action. He's had them, but they couldn't throw as well as Justin Fields. Now he's got Justin Fields. Great. I know he wanted Russell Wilson back when the sweepstakes was going on before he went to Denver. So now he's got 2 guys that work in his system. And who's the overlord in Pittsburgh? Mike Tomlin, King Hardo, ex-King player coach. It's a perfect situation for a quarterback who's talented, had no bearings, to get some, improve, and have a little bit of pressure of, okay, I don't need to be the savior. I just can't be the Achilles heel of the team now. That's way better. Justin Fields in that mindset, I think, helps him thrive. It's good. He can be a guy that moves the ball down the field, more of a game manager type. Once he learns how to be a game manager, maybe then we get to see some Ohio State Justin Fields taking the top off against Georgia, because we know he's got that dog in him, pardon that cliche, but he does. He is a gamer, and I think he is a good quarterback, and now he's got some structure that's going to they're going to let the nice tomato plant grow, and you're going to have a nice harvest. It's not, you ever see the redneck gardens, Joe? It's bad. People are growing tomatoes, they're growing everything, it's all on the ground, eaten up by the critters. All right, you need to be able to nurture, and then enjoy. Pittsburgh is great at that. Fantastic.
I have no idea what that last part that you were getting at. There is a realistic path, though. I want to say their bye. It looks like their bye comes after the Giants game, there is a path that with these games, Colts, Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, Giants, that they could end up being, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, they could be 8-0 or at least 7-1 with that slate of games.
Yeah.
That is completely drivable for the way that they're playing defense. I see a defense that's better than all of those offenses right now. And I don't think that's a hot take. I think that we need to look ourselves in the mirror and realize that that defense is really freaking good right now. Antonio Pierce had some interesting comments after their loss to the Panthers. Now, there is the messy thing to look at with Bryce Young and that whole situation. I do find it very funny, though, that you lose to this god-awful Panthers team.
Mm-hmm.
And Pierce jumps to say, as the game went on, I think there was definitely some individuals that made business decisions. And we'll make business decisions going forward as well. We got our asses whooped. I would have booed us too, is also what he said. There was a clip, and I don't know which defensive back it was specifically, but I kind of know exactly what he was talking about because there were some dudes who were running up the ball carriers and then just standing there that weren't doing anything. I want to say it was, who was number 18?
Jack Jones.
Oh, it was Jack Jones then.
Uber talented, a little bit hot-headed. If there was somebody on the Raiders defense that would make a business decision, I'd say it's him. He had the awesome one-handed pick against the Chargers last year.
Yeah.
I wanted to, because we both played, from the perspective of a coach saying this at the podium, is this smart for Pierce to outwardly say that my team wasn't giving it their best effort on every play, or at least certain individuals were?
I mean, I think this is like a total younger former player thing to do where you're just pissed off because guys didn't show up and you could tell that they were half-assing it, that you're just like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
That's all I think it is. I don't think there's anything strategic about this. I think he's just kind of pointing the finger and just being mad that guys weren't trying.
Yeah, I read this as Pierce is coming in, and he came into the Raiders, and he's trying to fix them up, and he's got the locker room, and he's trying to get people to buy in on the good right way to play football, which is hard. Play it hard like Antonio Pierce did. The Super Bowl champion Antonio Pierce, I believe. Yeah, he won.
Yes,
Giants. Yeah, play it like I did. You know why? Because I found success. And if anything could resonate with you, it should be this big effing ring on my finger that none of you have. So I need you to play up to where I am. I'm not going to coach down to you. And if you're going to go out there on my field, I'm going to make it a note of it that you don't if you're taking plays off. So I didn't mind the message. It was a little bit explicit, I'd say. There wasn't much decorum for what you would expect from an NFL coach. I would maybe go the route of, yeah, it's going to be a rough film day on Monday. But I don't hate it. Because the
I don't know if
Raiders have been
explicit's the right word. I think you just mean like unfiltered, that he wasn't
unfiltered
filtering himself.
Explicit works also.
I don't know if explicit works.
The explicit bluntness of his statement.
I disagree. What we will agree on, though, here, actually, I don't know if we will or not. Carolina Panthers get this win. And Andy Dalton has the performance of a lifetime. Makes you wonder, how the hell was Bryce Young not playing better? 26 for 37, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's the only quarterback this season to throw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't want to hear people doing the whole bit that they're doing with Bryce Young, where they're saying, oh, this just proves he's terrible. He's not meant to play. He's not meant for this game. I think that that's such an easy cop-out. Of course, the 36-year-old quarterback who has played and been a starter for multiple teams, has been a fill-in player for multiple teams, of course he's going to step in and play better than the rookie. Look, is this performance exemplary? Yes, it's a great performance. He threw the ball really well, and he had a great game. But I don't think it is fair to point at, and I didn't mean to call him a rookie, a second-year player. I don't think it is fair to do that and compare him to Bryce Young because their situation is so freaking different. It pains me so much with these young guys and the overreactiveness that we have for some players who should be given the benefit of the doubt. A lot of bad rookies, we give them too much of a benefit of the doubt. It's just there's no ability to analyze and capably understand what some guys can actually do. And I think that it's a little fluky. I think this is a little fluky than it is actual real proof of anything.
I would agree it's a little fluky, but Andy Dalton showed Panthers fans what an NFL throw looks like over the last 18 games for the first time. His dot to the end zone was an NFL throw. The optics on this for Bryce Young are god awful. There's no way to escape that. The Panthers should have traded Bryce Young last week before we saw Andy Dalton go and do this. You couldn't have given him a couple weeks. You couldn't save this up, Andy. Oh no, you're a vet that knows the playbook and knows how to play football. Maybe defenses now are just getting too good, and they're getting too good, and it's going to take longer and longer for quarterbacks to really understand how to maintain pace within their own head to play quarterback in the NFL. I don't think defenses are getting enough credit, no matter how many rules we place against them in favor of the quarterbacks in the offense, how good they have been this season in covering, in tackling, pressuring the quarterbacks. And I know it could all stem back to O-line depth, and I see a lot of people making those points, whereas if a quarterback doesn't have enough time, I get that side of things. But Andy Dalton stepping in game 1, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, first quarterback this year to pull off that feat, which shouldn't even be a feat. That Andy Dalton was doing that every week in 2015 for the Bengals. It's a bad look for Bryce Young. It's an awful look.
I understand. I get that.
Trade him already. Send him off. Let's get the Trey Lance package going.
Look, I get all of that, and I get, yes, it does not help Bryce's case. It absolutely doesn't. But again, we got to acknowledge the fluky nature of going up against a first-year head coach as well. I'm giving him credit for the game. Like, I'm giving him credit. Andy Dalton played great, but I don't think that this is something that is going to sustainably carry throughout the rest of the year. Of course, he's going to outplay Bryce Young. He's not going to have replicable games like this for the rest of the season. He's just not.
It just can't be possible in the NFL, and unless this becomes the new meta in the NFL, where the Joe Flacco year last year takes place, and these bad teams get elevated by a guy that just knows how to throw 15 and out. A guy that knows how to hit a receiver on the seam, not a big deep ball merchant, not somebody that's uber elusive. It's fucking Andy Dalton. All right. He can't run anywhere. He's not going to do anything exceptional that Bryce Young can possibly do, but he can run an offense. And until you can run an offense in the league, I think you sit down on the bench. That's why I'm starting to really like what Atlanta did with Michael Penix Jr., where he's just sitting there chilling. Keep on chilling. Get your practice reps. Eventually, when you come in, you're not going to be overwhelmed. Keep it because you're going to be naturally anyways. But if you can limit that a little bit, I think you're in a better spot for the quarterback play.
All right, we're going to close out on that note. We're going to be back on Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern Time to do our Best Bets show. Joe DeLeone at Joe DeLeone at Sanderson Radio at Hack City Pod. Hit the subscribe button, 5-star review, leave a comment, and we will talk to you folks later.